She stood up in the middle of a crowded restaurant, raised her champagne glass, and announced our wedding was canceled. Her friends burst out laughing. They thought I would panic, break down, maybe even beg. But when I calmly stood up and took the microphone, the entire restaurant went silent. And suddenly, no one was laughing anymore. That if you've ever seen someone try to humiliate their partner in public or test someone's love in the cruelest way possible, hit like, subscribe, and stay with me. Because what happened next turned her perfect little performance into the biggest mistake of her life. I met Lauren at a restaurant called Harbor View Terrace. It was the kind of place designed to impress people. Floor-to-ceiling windows, golden sunlight pouring across white tablecloths. The kind of atmosphere where every brunch looked like it belonged on social media. Lauren insisted we meet there with her closest friends. She called it a pre-wedding reset brunch. Looking back now, that phrase should have warned me. But at the time, I didn't think much of it. We were 3 months away from our wedding. Everything seemed normal, or at least normal enough. When I arrived, Lauren was already sitting with 5 of her friends. They looked like they had stepped out of a magazine. Perfect hair, designer sunglasses, mimosas already in hand. They greeted me politely, but something fell off. Not rude, not cold, just performative. Like everyone knew something I didn't know. We made small talk. Vacations, work promotions, spa weekends. Surface-level conversations that bounced around the table without landing anywhere meaningful. I sipped my coffee slowly, trying to ignore the quiet tension growing in my chest. Lauren kept glancing at me, not lovingly, not even casually. It was the kind of look someone gives when they're evaluating something, or waiting for a moment, waiting for a reaction. I didn't know it then, but the show was about to begin. Halfway through brunch, Lauren cleared her throat. Not gently, dramatically, like an actress stepping on a stage. The table went quiet instantly. Her friends leaned forward, anticipating something. Lauren lifted her champagne glass, smiled brightly, and then she said something that made the entire restaurant seem to pause. I have something important to say. She looked directly at me. Then she said it. I'm calling off the wedding. Gasps exploded around the table. Hands flew to mouths. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." But one person didn't look shocked at all. Dada, Lauren's best friend. She leaned back with a grin, like she had been waiting all week for the punchline. Then Lauren finished her performance. "I can't pretend anymore," she said loudly. "I don't love him." And suddenly, everyone was staring at me. They expected a breakdown. Tears, anger, begging, some dramatic emotional collapse. Lauren stared at me like a director waiting for her actor to deliver the final scene. But instead, something strange happened. My pulse slowed. Not faster, slower. Because in that moment, everything suddenly became very clear. This wasn't spontaneous. This wasn't honest. This was theater. And I wasn't going to play the part she wrote for me. I calmly reached into my pocket, pulled out my hand, and held it across the table. "Then give this back," I said. The engagement ring sparkled in the sunlight. Lauren blinked, confused, like the script had suddenly changed. Slowly, reluctantly, she slid the ring off her finger and dropped it into my palm. Her smile had vanished. The audience around us shifted awkwardly. They weren't sure what scene they were watching anymore. So I stood up and said the one thing no one expected. Near the restaurant stage was a microphone stand. They used it later in the day for live music. I walked over, picked up the microphone. The restaurant quieted instantly. Forks paused midair. Waiters froze. And I said calmly, "Since we're making public announcements," I looked directly at Lauren. "I'll be hosting a Dodge to..." 3 days later, something unexpected happened. One of Lauren's friends contacted me. Her name was Holly. We met for coffee. She looked nervous, ashamed, and then she showed me screenshots. A group chat. Lauren and her friends had been planning the entire brunch. Lauren wrote, "I'm thinking of doing it publicly." Madison replied, "Yes, like a movie scene." Another friend wrote, "He's going to be devastated." Lauren answered, "If he really loves me, he'll prove it." My stomach turned cold. It wasn't just humiliation. It was a test, a performance designed to force an emotional reaction. And then Holly revealed something else. "There's another guy," she said quietly. "His name was Owen. Lauren had been seeing him for weeks, and she thought he was her next relationship. But after the brunch, he disappeared completely, stopped answering her calls. Then came the financial fallout. Lauren's parents had contributed $15,000 toward the wedding. After hearing what happened, they demanded she pay every dollar back. Lauren had already spent most of her savings. Suddenly, her perfect little performance had consequences, real ones, and the more her life unraveled, the more desperate she became. A week later, my doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole. Lauren stood outside. No muck-up, red eyes, shaking hands. "I need to talk to you," she said. I opened the door, but I didn't invite her in. "You humiliated me," she whispered. I shook my head. "No," I said calmly. "You humiliated yourself." Tears rolled down her face. "I made a mistake." "A mistake is forgetting an anniversary," I replied. "What you did was planned." She waited, hoping for forgiveness, for an opening. But I simply said one thing: "I'm honoring your decision," and closed the door. 2 weeks later, my apartment was full. Friends, music, laughter, whiskey. Holly and Joyce showed up with wine. Calvin brought cigars. Everyone raised a glass to dodging bullets. And just when the night reached its peak, the doorbell rang. Lauren again, this time dressed like she was going to a nightclub. "I need 5 minutes," she begged. I stepped outside. "You don't love me anymore?" she asked. I looked at her calmly. "This isn't love," I said. "This is regret." Then I opened the door, walked back inside, and closed it behind me, leaving her standing alone in the hallway. 3 months later, I sat in a beach bar in Costa Rica. The honeymoon money paid for the trip. Sunset over the Pacific. Cold drink in my hand. Peace in my mind. Then my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Lauren, I finally understand what I lost." I stared at the ocean, then replied with one sentence. "You were honest that day at brunch. I'm being honest now." That honesty freed me. Then I blocked the number and watched the sun disappear into the horizon. A chapter closed. Not with anger, not with revenge, but with clarity. That if this story hit you, leave a comment and tell me. What would you have done in that restaurant? Would you have stayed calm like you did, or reacted differently? And don't forget to like and subscribe for more powerful relationship stories that prove sometimes walking away is the strongest move you can make.